Hey guys, welcome back. Kamina the coach here. So, today's video was supposed to be on love. However, I had something happen in my personal life. So, my energy has shifted. So, today's video is going to be about energy and kind of, I'm going to talk about where we're all energetic spiritual beings. So, I guess I've been on a spiritual journey since the beginning. But I'm going to talk about um, a book that I read that I think really propelled me along. So, in this video, I'll talk about what I think happens when this body that we're in dies, and why I think it's really important to take super great care in how you deal with people and the world around you. So, let's begin. So the book that I'm talking about is not really an original idea. It's actually a conglomerate of ideas that the greats have been talking about since the beginning of time, since there was a guru. So the book is called The Secret by an Australian woman named Rhonda Byrne. I guess that's how you say it. So I was going through a really hard time in my life. I had recently separated from a really abusive husband. At the time, my best friend and I thought the only way that I was going to escape the relationship was in a body bag. Very, very physically abusive. So I was really PTSD'd out from that. I was living in my office, sleeping on my floor. It was just a really hard time in my life. I was emotionally distraught. I was financially strapped, and I really wasn't seeing any kind of future. And I was caught up in the addiction of negative thinking. I was caught up in the woe is me cycle. And it's really easy to do that. And when you say negative thinking, negative emotions are an addiction, well, think about when you get together with your friends and you get on that, oh, whoa, it's me. It really feels good. Um, it wouldn't if it didn't feel good, you wouldn't continue to do it. So a friend of mine, a really awesome sister, let me borrow the audiobook, The Secret, because it's a really big book. And so I started listening to it, and wow, it changed my life. So, like I said, it's really not a new idea. It's the makings or the conglomerate of the ideas of a lot of greats. So let's just talk about, because it's such a massive book, let's just talk about the basis of it. So the secret is really no secret. Like attracts like. Right? So basically, at the end of the day, what you're thinking or feeling is what you're attracting to you. So if you're thinking about negative things, that's what you're drawing to you. If you're thinking about positive things, that's what you're drawing to you. That's the long and short of it. So I also mentioned that I was going to talk about what I believe happens when this meat sack, this body that we're in, passes away. So I'm going to do my best to recap the story the way that it's told in the book, or the way the theory is presented in the book. So if you ask a theologian, someone who studies religion, what they believe created the universe, they're going to say that it was God, or whatever they choose to call God, Allah, Judah, right? So if you ask the same theologian, what is the definition of God? They're going to say, always has been, always will be, cannot be created or destroyed, constantly moving through form, in form, and out of form. Right? Makes sense. Right? Always has been, always will be. All right, so before we move on, let's talk about all things, like even my sunglasses. Like at its smallest form, what is everything made out of? Everything. Everything at its smallest form is made out of atoms. Well, if we could actually take atoms apart, What holds an atom together? So it's energy, right? It's held together by protons and neutrons and little electrons swirling around it. So that's energy. So everything, I'm energy, my hair is energy, the chair that I'm sitting on is energy, the wall, my computer, everything is energy. Can we agree on that? Scientific fact, right? Okay. So now then, we're going back to, we asked a theologian what created the universe. Now let's ask a scientist. What does a scientist believe, or an astrophysicist, even better than that? So let's ask this astrophysicist or scientist what created the universe, and they're going to say energy. Okay, so can you define energy for us? So definition of energy: cannot be created or destroyed, constantly moving through form, in form, and out of form, always has been, always will be. Okay, so what can we take away from this? So hopefully, I hope that there are people watching from all different walks of life. That there are people that will take something away from this, that are Christian, that are Muslim, that are Buddhist, that are Hindu, that are atheists, that are agnostic, that are spiritual, that are non-spiritual, that are Wiccans. I want everybody to be able to take something from this. So look at the definition of God and the definition of energy, right? Because can we agree that everything is made of energy? Everything. So can we look at the definition of God and the definition of energy? Always has been, always will be, cannot be created or destroyed, constantly moving through form, in form, and out of form. So if that's the truth, then energy and God, these definitions are synonymous. They're the same thing. So if energy or God, we just choose to name it. We've choose to name this creative force that always has been, because it's human nature to have to name something. We have to put a name to it. So as humans, depending on where you are geographically, you've named this energy God. All right? So this energy that makes you up is God, is energy. So what happens when the body ceases to live? Does the energy go away? Does the God or the spirit that made you go away? Well, not by definition, right? Because it always has been, always will be, and it cannot be created or destroyed. Well, when this passes, it's just moving on to a different form. So when I heard this gave me a great peace, right? Because I actually went to seminary. I've studied a lot of religions very, very deeply. But at the end of the day, there was something that just didn't. I needed to make sense of this. So what really does happen? Well, I can't tell you what going back to the source is, but I definitely can say that we don't just cease to exist. We're just going to change form. The energy that makes us cannot be destroyed. It's just going to move into a different form. So, like I said, so we were going to talk about what happens when the body goes away. So, how does this relate into our interactions with other people? So, if we're all made of energy, that means we're all, or God, or the spirit, whatever you want to call it, we're all made of the same thing. We're all pieces of the same. You often hear people talk about a conscious collective, collective consciousness. People knowing things that they shouldn't, being able to name things or talk about things that are in places where they're not. This is what we're talking about in that collective consciousness, right? Because at the very heart of it, at its very core, we are all made up of the very, very same thing. Now, this isn't a some kind of hokey made up something. We're talking about science. We're all made up of energy, right? And energy created the universe. Is there a different type of energy? Well, it's all energy. Atoms, right? It's all just, they're just sometimes formed closer together, put together differently, but it's all energy. So if we're all created the same, of the same thing, if we are all one, that means if I hurt you, I am in essence hurting myself. There is no way that I stand to gain anything by hurting my brother or sister. There's no way that I stand to gain anything by maintaining anger, bitterness, or ill will towards my brother or sister in my heart, because we are one, right? So I felt compelled to share this because I talked to a brother who felt like he was holding a lot of anger and bitterness, and it's easy to be angry and bitter with all the things that are going on in the world. However, we talked about the law of attraction, what we're thinking about, we're pulling to us. You stand nothing to gain also by dwelling in the negative, because you're just going to draw it to you. And by wishing ill will on somebody else, really, you're just wishing ill will on yourself. And if you do something to someone else, you're also doing it to yourself. So again, like I said, this was supposed to be a video on love, and I guess at the end of the day it is. Because I guess the real message is love yourself by loving your brothers and sisters, right? At the end of the day, all religion preaches the same thing. It's about love, about oneness. At the end of the day, only love can fix all of the problems that are presented to us. And I will never say that there aren't a lot of problems in the world, but I will definitely always say that the only way to even begin to fix them is to love. All right, guys. Thanks. Kamina, the coach here. I'll see you next time. Wishing you love, peace, and happiness. All right, guys. Bye-bye.